I came into this trip thinking that I was coming to this poor country where no one had anything, and I expected the people to be very angry because, people at home that don't have anything, they're angry and want more. And, I expected to see, not much here. And getting off the plane, coming on the bus towards Senegia, it didn't really change my mind, seeing shanty towns and seeing some of the people who didn't really have anywhere to go.
It was definitely a culture shock, just the extent of poverty. We went from, it really wasn't a big break. It went from Lima to Senegia, and it was just looking at the shanties and looking at people just open air markets and what they live in daily. It really kind of woke us up of, okay, we've got poverty and we need to help our children and we need to help those in need, but there's also a bigger need globally, in other countries.
I've came twice to Peru when I was younger, but this time was a lot different than, the first two times. I was younger, and this time you really make the connection with those kids and you understand that what total abandonment means, and the importance of the home being here, and seeing how the spirits of the people here are so hopeful, and they have nothing, and then they're still just very nice people.
Just how different it was than America. When we think of people who don't have a lot in America, they still have a lot compared to what's down here in Peru. But like she said, just how, people didn't really seem to let that affect them too much. They're still happy and generous and open to hearing what you have or love hearing from you or gifts or whatever. And, they didn't really let it affect them as much as you would think it would.
As the trip went on, seeing how happy and content the people are and how excited they are that you're here and how excited that they are to hear about God. And even though they don't have a lot, they're very content and trusting in people. And, seeing that, it's going to have a piece of my heart, I think, forever.
The moment that we got here, you could just feel the embrace of the children. They are so friendly. They just want that love, and they want to be nurtured. The facility here is amazing. You have every aspect that you could think of. They have it here.
There's a lot of love, for sure, pouring out of the ministry here. I think Mike and Shalene and the group is just doing a great job of giving the kids what they need. When we comparing it to what we've seen coming in versus what we see here, he really is trying to make this a inviting and warming environment for these kids. Again, they're abandoned, and so when you see how the interns and everybody, and even when we came in, they were already willingly just attached. For me, I hung out with Fabricio a lot, and he is a great kid. By my side the entire time. We went to the amusement park, being here, playing around,
So it was one kid named Manuel. He's autistic, and he really clinged to me very well. He's very, very affectionate, very loving little kid. First time I was sitting there, he just came up and just sat right in my lap and hugged on me, and it just would click from day one. And then we took him to the park, and he just wanted me to be with him the whole time, and he's something else. He jumped from one ride and run to the next, and he's just, to be nonverbal and the autistic that he has, and to be so loving is something great. And he's an amazing little kid.
And usually when you're here, there's one that kind of captures your heart. And this particular girl was Sarah. We were able to take them for an outing. And she just immediately took my hand and wanted to be with me that day. And I really hadn't spent much time with her before because they were in school and church. And she's 12 years old, and she's the only one here with short hair, and I've got lots of pictures of her. And she looks much older than 12, but what just kills me is her parents or her mother or someone abandoned her at 12 years old. And all these kids are abandoned. And I can't wrap my mind around someone just abandoning these beautiful children. So I'm just thankful for Mike and Shalene and the workers and everyone who's helped us get here, because that support allows them to continue to bring in more kids and feed them and take care of them and get them adopted out. Or if they're not adopted out, they're loved on while they're here and they're educated and they just have a safe place. And there's a lot of kids that don't have that.
There was one boy when I first came in, the first time we was like eating, he just started joking and he reminded me of myself when I was little. Like this, the stuff he would say reminded me of myself when I was little, and I just wanted to give him hope to do good in life, and there's more to life, and believe in, trust in God, and we'll guide him in the right direction.
And all the kids, not just him, I mean, very warming, very just wanting to be loved on, and you know, and I've heard that coming up from other missionaries, other people who came here. It is true. I mean, these kids just want love, and I think Mike is doing a great job of utilizing resources, reaching out to not only kids here, but communities outside, trying to spread God's word, His love, and show these people that there is more to life than their poor situation right now on earth.
While we were here this week, they got 4 children that the government, kind of gave them that they were needing a home. And with the orphanage, I think it's hard because Mike is totally based on support from churches like us. And to see them, they did decide to take in these 4 kids, but they are completely, he did it because I think God told him to do it. And he is completely relying on God's support and that people will follow in God's will and give what they can. And to see that little girl who is just bigger than life and knowing that she's going to have a home here, I just hope and pray that, people are willing to support them.
So this was my second time coming to Peru. I came 3 years ago with my little brother, and this time I got to bring my sister with me. So it's been really cool having that family experience. But like the family experience has also been kind of hard for me too, because my grandpa was a missionary, and he actually passed away in the field, spreading the gospel, doing what he was called to do. So it's been really tough, and I've been really harboring a lot of bitterness and a lot of resistance. Like even in my faith, it's been, you try to work through that, but it's hard. It's hard sometimes to get past it. And so this trip was kind of scary for me. The first trip was scary because I was going to a new country and I'm spreading the word, and like that's scary. And this one was scary because I'm trying to do what I feel led to do, which was also what my grandfather felt led to do. So I felt a lot of pressure on my shoulders and just a lot of hardness, just from, my grandfather was spreading the word and his life was taken. And how is that fair? And all of this and all of these worldly concerns and questions. And so coming here, I was like, okay, one of two things is going to happen. Either I'm going to get there and I'm going to keep this bitterness in my heart and it's going to be terrible. Like I'm not going to be doing what God led me to do. And I had so much support and so much love and generosity from the people around me to get me here. I was like, that's not fair to them, or I'm going to get down there and the Lord is going to use this as a very therapeutic healing process, which is what it turned out to be. And I was talking to my sister earlier and I told her, like, one of the Bibles that got sponsored was actually in my grandfather's name, and it wasn't given to me, it was given to Amber. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, that felt like a sign even before we left that the Lord had plans further than just me doing kingdom work. I was doing...
Someone had sponsored that Bible and you didn't even know.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah, so...
The impact that he had already made.
Yeah, so, I was doing kingdom work, but I was also being worked on myself. Because, you can't pour from an empty cup. And that's what I felt like I was coming in trying to do. But it was like as soon as I saw that Bible, I was like, okay, the Lord's got me here for a reason. And so I was able to give out Bibles with his name in them and give out gifts at the holding tanks that I had actually gotten from his storage unit, from gifts that he took with him on mission trips that I was able to give. So it felt like part of him was with me and part of him was still doing what he was called to do, which was to spread the gospel. And so I got to step in and do that in his place. And so that's been really, really amazing.
So Mike had mentioned about taking the kids or having the kids a birthday party here, kind of to celebrate all their birthdays at once. But what we decided to do as a group is instead of having a party here, we took them to a local park, amusement park, kind of like a fair carnival type thing in town. It's about 10 minutes away, and let them have a party there instead of having the party here at the orphanage. And they love that probably more than anything we could have done here. So. You know, it was kind of for a moment they got to be like every other kid you would expect. They got to have fun and hang out with us and ride rides and play these different games and all these things. And they just got to be a normal kid, you know, and there wasn't, we're there with them. It's not, you know, they're not abandoned kids. They're not Peruvian kids. And it was just, we're all having fun together. And it was just a cool experience to see them all. And they're so grateful for everything too, and they're excited to ride rides, and they want you to do it with them. Like I said, they're just kids, and sometimes we forget that, and we think, you know, they're these different people, but they're not. They like hanging out, and they like making connections with people by riding a terrifying death wheel a bunch of times. But
Now, Tyler, you're not real fond of heights and some rides, and so you're not used to riding these things, but on this day, you did some riding because you felt like you wanted to spend time with the kids and you were willing to give up some fears of yourself to ride and please these kids.
Nick, if you put in that video right there.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like this at all. This is terrible. Oh my God, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's awful. Oh my God, don't. Open your eyes, open your eyes. No. Oh, sweet Jesus, I don't like it. I don't like it. Oh, I don't want to be a butterfly.
Yeah, I'm definitely not a fan of heights, not even a little bit. And somehow Mike convinced me to get on a ride with, a bunch of the kids wanted to ride, and I had put it off, and Mike and Nick somehow got me on it, and it was terrifying. It was a butterfly that flew higher than butterflies should. Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. That was terrible.
I think it was really fun to experience the rides with the kids. I know Enrique, the little boy who I was with, he was just pulling my hand. We could not go fast enough. As soon as we got off of one ride, he was running to the next one. He was so excited. So that was just really fun to just share that joy and excitement with the kids.
One of the things that stuck out for me was when we visited the school. You know, both of us work in education, and so we're very familiar with the resources, technology, the funding, just the overall operations of it. And we went to the school to feed 900, almost 1,000 people. Chicken and rice, and it definitely made me appreciate what we're trying to do back on stateside. When you look at the facilities, it was nice compared to what we see around it. But even some of our schools, there's no comparison. Again, we have kids who are in extreme poverty, who we need to help and who we need to continue to support. But it's a definite culture shock. It changed, a perspective changer for me of seeing how they operated and talking to the kids and interacting with the kids. Very, very accepting, willing to listen.
Very friendly, very thankful also. And then another thing, being able to go into a school and actually give the gospel was an amazing experience within itself.
I actually got to lead the salvation prayer in one of the classrooms, and I was like, okay, Lord, give me the words because I don't have them. This is for you. all the glory to you. Let me say what needs to be said in this moment. And so, I said the prayer, and I told them, regardless of what you say, you can accept the Lord or you can reject him. That's your choice. Our gifts are still going to be offered to you. We're not going to hold food from you. We're not going to hold gifts from you because you don't say this prayer. So we said it, we get done, and I said, anyone who accepted that gift, would you mind raising your hand so I can celebrate with you? And one of the teachers in the classroom raised their hand. And for me as a teacher, I know that if I come into class and I'm having a hard day, my kids are gonna have a hard day, And so to see these teachers accept salvation and accept Jesus and to realize I don't have to be perfect, I serve a perfect God. And to see that click for them and know that all these kids that come through are going to be blessed by that teacher because we were able to bless her through giving the word. That was really, really humbling and really makes you think as a person, like, what can I be doing every day to share the gospel with who I come in contact with?
Getting to have that experience alone, helping them and encouraging them to read their Bibles and going home and sharing their Bibles with their family. So hopefully that's made an impact with them.
We had to tell a lot of the kids no mas because they were ripping open the boxes trying to take them for their brothers and sisters, and we still had other places to go, and so we were in a situation where these kids were hungry for the Bible and hungry for that, but we also had other places to go. They'd already received one, and it was definitely a conflict in me, and we finally had to take the boxes of Bibles and put them in the actual soup kitchen trailer just to keep the kids from taking them.
Just to see all the kids, and it's just a very heartwarming experience for me. To see all the kids and just all their smiles and just sharing with them who I am and where I'm from in my life, and just they're all so excited just to see us Americans coming and just to pass out Bibles and tracts and just sharing a little bit of information about ourselves is something very exciting. And
I think with the teachers and the administrators and the kids willing to listen, and they thanked us for it, and you could tell that they were very pleased for us to be there. So it was a different setup for sure.
It's not only like a hunger for your basic human necessities, but it's a hunger for the word also.
There was the one day where we probably passed out 5,000 Bibles in one day. One of the things that was very interesting was very few people said no. They were very willing to accept that umragala, that free gift.
You didn't see them laying when the Bibles we handed out, you didn't see them laying on the streets, or people didn't throw them away. If they didn't want one, they were just very polite and said they didn't want one. But the people who took them, they were reading them right away. There were a couple people, especially at the school, who would say, can I get one for my brother, or can I take one home? And it's just how grateful they are for the things that you give them, and how they appreciate it instantly. So you kind of get some of that instant response that's not always the same as you get back home.
And even if they were hesitant, especially in the larger cities, they were a little more skeptical at times. And even if they kind of pushed it away in the beginning, if you could kind of slip in a little bit later and offer it to them again, very often they would take it that second time once they understood that it was just a free gift and we weren't trying to sell them something. And so that was lots and lots of seeds that were planted.
There were several people, there were a few guards working in Gamara, and we stopped and, handed them a Bible, and all three of them just opened it up and started reading. And so that was really cool. And then there was a little boy. He was so cute. Obviously he couldn't read, but he had the Bible open and was flipping through the pages.
It was upside down.
Yes.
I enjoyed handing out Bibles out on the streets because it was really busy and there were a lot of people. I loved seeing people stop in their tracks when I reached out and handed them a Bible, and they just started reading immediately, and it was very sweet to see that, because in the States it's not the same.
And then also when we went to the other holding tanks for kids who are abandoned, who aren't lucky enough to be in an orphanage like this, I remember I was teaching them their colors in English, and one of the girls held up her Bible to me, and she wanted me to start reading it to her. So I thought that was really cool.
Also, this trip, it was my first time presenting the gospel and leading people through a salvation prayer.
You did awesome.
Thank you. And afterwards, there were especially 2 older women in the holding tank. And of course, I speak very little Spanish, but they were coming up, and just the words that I could pick up and the motions that they were giving, I understood what they were saying enough to know that they liked what I said, that they accepted Christ into their heart, that they had a heavenly Father, and that now we were family. And there was lots of hugs and smiles, and it was just absolutely wonderful. There is nothing like that feeling. And so I hope with this trip, while it was the first for many of us, that it certainly will not be the last. And as we head back, we'll continue to deliver that message and just spread the word wherever we are at that any given time.
So on the last night, they do the Despacito, and they were all telling us goodbye, and they all had little gifts, and they, choose an American to come give their gift to,
and so they got together and they sang some songs about God and how we are here to share the gospel, and they got to sing about that, and the girls did their own little song about Jesus loves me, and some of it was in English. And then, they got to speak some words about what their experience with the group was like, and some of them being brand new, not really knowing what it is to have a group here like that. They got to come and speak and tell us how excited they were that they got to spend time with us.
It's funny, when you decide to go to Peru, you go over there trying to help people or change people's lives. When you go, of course, you get to do this. You pass out Bibles, you feed people, you just try to show them the love that Jesus has. But the ironic thing is that in all that giving that you do is how much you actually receive yourself. Whether the people down there in Peru know it or not, they're being used by God to help encourage you as a Christian and help you grow in your walk with Christ. They're some of the most kindest people that I've ever met, and how much they hunger for God is just inspiring. On a trip that's supposed to change people's lives across the globe, the change that really happens the most is inside of you. From when you step onto the plane or when you climb a mountain or you get up and share and talk in front of people, God gets you out of your comfort zone to a place that's much closer to where He wants you to be.